That they go for this.
No, you don't. It's going to be one hell of a call, though.
This would be really rough. Monster offensive line. You got extra offensive linemen in there.
Chiefs have to make sure they don't jump. And Jackson will get the first down and, in effect, end the game.
Go on with it, John Harbaugh.
Welcome back, everyone. It's David. The NFL is a grind, especially this year with the addition of a 17th regular season game. But even this early on, the results for some teams were more important than others. The Packers and Bills picked up much needed wins in dominant fashion after Sharks started circling them in Week 1. Teams like the Jets and Jaguars fell further into a tailspin as their rookie QBs continue to put up uninspiring numbers. But they won't make the cut for our weekly overreactions. They're just kids. In the NFL world, they're still learning how to walk. It's not fair to make a judgment call on a rookie QB's career after their first season, let alone their first 2 games. That doesn't mean others aren't spared from judgment. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and give us a follow on social media. Starting with the opening game. The Giants should just pack it in now and aim for the first overall pick. Why? Because the universe wants them to. They had not 1, not 2, but 3 key moments go against them in their game against the Washington football team. As a side note, now that Washington has narrowed it down to 8 finalists for a new team name, let me take this time to plead with them. Don't fix what ain't broken. Washington football team is easily the best name in the league. Other teams will be wise to follow suit. Considering that pretty much everyone in European soccer is just called football club, why can't we do it here? Anyway, back to the game. First was this Danny Dimes touchdown run that got called back. Not only did that run remind us of one of the greatest moments of last season, Jones's 80-yard run that ended with him tripping over himself, but he also cemented his status as the team's RB1. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make fun of Saquon. It's not that I think he's bad, but he did come off a bad injury, and running backs tend to have a much shorter lifespan than other skilled positions. If he doesn't have a breakthrough soon, the Giants might be inclined to look at other options. The second moment was Darius Slayton with this massive fourth quarter drop. For Giants fans who still have PTSD over Evan Engram, I imagine their reaction to this play went something like this.
I'm gonna kill myself! Wow. I'm going to kill myself and it's your fault!
I don't know what more could have been done. In fairness, this is actually very good route running by Slayton. The pass by Jones was picture perfect. He should have walked right into the end zone, but somehow he didn't. These Giants fans' reactions are perfect. Daniel Jones looks completely dumbfounded, and yet Slayton might have actually been let off the hook because of the third moment. On a night where both kickers were surprisingly money, it was only fitting that the game would be decided by a field goal. Hopkins' miss here should have sealed it, but wait, Dexter Lawrence jumping off sides meant that they got to try it again, and Hopkins would not miss twice. So to recap, not only did the Giants have 2 sure touchdowns taken away under completely different circumstances, but they also managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And not only that, but the very next day, it was announced that the league botched the offsides call. Come on, NFL, why you gotta kick the Giants when they're down like that? After an offseason that included a fight breaking out in practice and 2 bad losses to begin the regular season, what the Giants need most is a culture change. And for all the fans that booed Daniel Jones on draft night and haven't stopped booing him since, Spencer Rattler might be a pretty attractive option. Next up, the Raiders have a defense? Through 2 weeks, the Raiders are the surprise team of the league, taking down 2 formidable opponents in the Ravens and Steelers. But while the offense, and especially Derek Carr, has steadily improved during Gruden's tenure, the defense has remained a glaring weak spot. However, they might be the biggest reason why they're 2-0. They're certainly the reason why they pulled off the upset at Heinz Field. For the second straight week, the Steelers went up against an aggressive D-line, but this time around they didn't have enough plays to capitalize on and get the win. It's important that we give credit to the entire Raiders unit too, and not just one person. On a ton of key plays during the game, there were at least 4 players that were flying towards the ball. Even on this play where Damon Arnett messed up and let Claypool keep running after making the catch, Jonathan Abram was right there to make the stop. On this key third down play, 4 players stopped the tight end from getting to the first down mark. If not for that stop, who knows if the Raiders even win this game? While the Raiders aren't suddenly contenders to win the AFC West, they have been known to give the Chiefs a hard time. Their first meeting doesn't come until Week 10, so if they can either keep up this level of defensive intensity or even improve on it, the divisional race might be closer than we think. Next up, I know a lot of people question drafting a running back at number 4 and paying him $90 million over 6 years. But give a ton of credit to Tony Pollard for stepping up for the Cowboys and making that contract look like an absolute bargain. Wait, what? Pollard breaking out in a big way and propelling Dallas to a win against the Chargers is further proof that running backs are a dime a dozen in this league. Like I said earlier in the video, they have the shortest shelf life of all the skill positions, which is why so many that get signed to massive deals end up flaming out. Looking at you, Le'Veon Bell. With Elliott picked 4th overall, and Pollard picked 128th overall, the Cowboys look like they have their own RG3 Kirk Cousins scenario in their hands. If you recall, the then Washington Redskins drafted Robert Griffin III 2nd overall in 2011, hoping he would become their franchise savior. But they also picked Kirk Cousins in the 4th round of that same draft. He wasn't nearly as flashy or as high risk, high reward as RG3 was, but in the end, it was Cousins who had longer staying power.
You like that? You like that?
Naturally, Cowboys fans aren't going to be super thrilled with Pollard being compared to Kirk Cousins, but he's proven in the past that he can be an explosive back. To that point, Tony Pollard, despite never having a 15-carry game, has gained 100-plus yards 3 times in his career. Here were some of his best runs of the day. This stutter step on the way to the first down was nasty. And look at the way he bulldozes past the defender here. Get off me! And of course, on his touchdown run, Elliott was used as the perfect decoy here. Not a good look for Ezekiel Elliott or his fantasy owners that Pollard managed to outgain him on 3 fewer carries and relegate him to being a decoy on a play. At worst, the Cowboys have their new running back of the future, but at best, they have a fearsome backfield committee. This is a win-win situation. At the risk of dooming him and the Cardinals' chances this season, congrats to Kyler Murray for being this season's MVP through 2 weeks. Obviously, this title didn't work out so well for Russell Wilson, who was last year's early season MVP. After looking like an absolute world beater through the first 8 games last season, opposing defenses started to figure him out, and they became more passive as a result, according to Wilson. Murray also started out strong last year, then faded down the stretch, but let's hope the same thing doesn't happen again to the Cardinals because they've come out like a house on fire. Winning a shootout like the Cardinals did against the Vikings is obviously not sustainable, not just from a strategy perspective, but also from a fan base's heart rate perspective. But it does make you the neutral's favorite, which Kyler Murray has been since his iconic Hail Murray from last year. However, he had 3 throws in this game that were better than that one. Watch him pirouette away from the oncoming pass rush on not 1, but 2 of his touchdown passes. This 77-yarder to Rondale Moore in particular was insane. Being able to throw such a precise strike off the run like that is extremely hard to do, but he's mastered that art. And this throw, which set up the eventual game-winning field goal, is like the equivalent of a basketball player draining a one-legged fadeaway 3 from half court. Yes, they got extremely lucky with the Vikings missing that last-second chip shot field goal, but you know what they say, you've got to be good to be lucky. As stated before, early season MVPs usually don't keep up this level of excellence throughout the season, but we should all root for the NFL's baby Yoda to perform this well consistently, if for no other reason than so that my fantasy team does well. Finally, John Harbaugh is Nicki Minaj's cousin, confirmed. What the Ravens did is what every team should do against an elite quarterback. John Harbaugh, thankfully, had the guts to do what Mike McCarthy was too chicken shit to do last week. If you'll remember, the Cowboys opted to kick a field goal instead of go for it on 4th and 6 when they were deep inside Bucs territory. While the field goal did give them the lead, they gave the ball right back to Tom Brady for a game-winning drive, thinking that maybe this time he wouldn't pull it off. Any coach that gives the ball back to a Brady or a Mahomes in the late stages of a game has the same line of thinking as Tobias Funke. it might work for us. Luckily, John Harbaugh went against the grain. In what was a wild final sequence on Sunday night, the Ravens took the lead, got the ball back by forcing a fumble, then when facing a critical 4th and 1, decided to go for it instead of punting it. Yes, it came with a big risk. Had they failed to convert, the Chiefs would have gotten the ball back in very dangerous field position. But at least in that scenario, the Chiefs had a 50-50 shot at getting the ball back instead of a 100% chance if they had punted it. And having seen him do it countless times before, Mahomes would have almost certainly found a way to win the game if he was given the chance. The best way to beat Mahomes is to keep him off the field. This exchange between Harbaugh and Lamar has been scrutinized to no end. It seems like Harbaugh's asking Lamar if he wants to go for it, but it's more likely that Harbaugh's telling him, "We're going for it. You got this?" and firing him up for what proved to be the decisive conversion. As if he needed any more BDE after already throwing a jump pass TD and somersaulting into the end zone. Look, love him or hate him, Lamar Jackson is endlessly entertaining. In short though, normalize going for it on 4th down and short. It's way more exciting than a field goal or punt.